You know, scattered all around the world, there are these ruins that, when you really look at them, just shouldn't exist. They're massive, they're impossibly precise, and they were built by civilizations we thought lacked the technology. So today, we're going to dig into the evidence and ask a pretty big question. What blueprints have been lost to time?
Okay, so let's get right into it. The main question here is, on the surface, pretty simple, but it's incredibly profound. How on earth did they do it? How did ancient engineers, without all the tech we rely on today, create structures that still challenge our own modern understanding of engineering? And this isn't just one freak occurrence, one isolated mystery. This is a truly global phenomenon. I mean, you've got Sardinia sitting there in the Mediterranean, covered in thousands of these mysterious stone towers.
And then right nearby you have the island of Malta, which is home to some of the oldest freestanding structures on the entire planet.
Then jump all the way down to southern Africa, where you can find the incredible, sweeping stone walls of Great Zimbabwe.
And you can even go to literally the most remote inhabited island on Earth, Rapa Nui. At every single one of these sites, the same fundamental, baffling questions just keep popping up. So, let's break down the two biggest engineering puzzles they left behind for us.
All right, first up is the raw physical challenge of it all. We're talking about moving and lifting objects of an almost impossible weight. And look, this isn't just about having a lot of people pull on a rope. This points to a level of logistical genius we just can't seem to reverse engineer.
Just look at this number. 80. 80 what? 80 people? 80 feet? No, 80 tons. So what is that 80 tons? Well, that's the weight of a single pink granite block in Khafre's Valley Temple, right there in Egypt. Now, to put that into perspective for you, that is heavier than a modern M1 Abrams battle tank. Just try to imagine moving that, not with massive engines and cranes, but with what we think of as ancient technology. It's mind-boggling.
And this whole problem of mass wasn't just an Egyptian thing. In Malta, at sites like Hagar Kim and the Tarxian temples, they were moving and lifting 20-ton blocks like it was no big deal. The real puzzles are just baffling. How do you drag 20 tons over sloped, uneven ground? How do you then hoist a 20-ton lintel way up into the air? And let's go back to Khafre's temple. How in the world did they transport an 80-ton block over 800 kilometers from the quarry?
Okay, now let's hop over to Sardinia, because here, it's not just about a few massive blocks. No, here we see this mystery of mass on an almost industrial scale. We're talking about over 7,000 of these Nuraghi towers, some of them reaching 25 meters high, all built using basalt blocks that weigh several tons apiece. And here's the kicker. They were stacked with absolutely no mortar. They rely purely on weight and interlocking shapes to stay standing for over 3,000 years.
So this is the crucial point, right? We're left with this fundamental question. The archaeological record shows no surviving lifting machinery, no big metal tools for quarrying super hard stone like basalt, and absolutely zero written plans. So how did they do it? Not just once, but thousands of times over. It's this incredible mystery of brute force being applied with some kind of inexplicable finesse. But force is only half the story.
The second great mystery is all about precision. This is where that raw strength meets surgical accuracy. Seriously, we are talking about tolerances and geometric complexity that, in some cases, actually rival what we can pull off today with lasers and computer-aided design.
Let's go back to that Khafre Valley temple for a second. It's not just that those 80-ton blocks were moved, it's how they were placed. The joints between these massive granite blocks are so tight you couldn't slip a piece of paper between them. We're talking about gaps of mere millimeters. This wasn't just rough construction. This was high-precision masonry on a scale that is just, megalithic.
Now, for a different kind of precision, let's look at Great Zimbabwe. They built these unbelievable mortarless granite walls. I mean, they stand up to 11 meters high, but what's truly astonishing is the geometry. They just flow in these long, perfect, sweeping curves. The main outer wall runs for over 250 meters, and it maintains a consistent thickness and this slight inward tilt for stability, all without any kind of bonding agent.
This just raises so many questions. The theory is they split the granite using fire and cold water, which is a technique that can produce uniform blocks. Okay, fine. But how did they lay them out in such perfect curves over hundreds of meters? Was it just by eye? And how did they stack them 11 meters high? There's no wooden scaffolding that survived, and modern experiments show that this kind of work requires some seriously advanced staging. The instruction manual is just
gone.
And believe me, the puzzle of precision goes even further. On Rapa Nui, Easter Island, everyone focuses on the giant moai statues, but the real engineering marvel might be what they're standing on, the Ahu platforms. These things are enormous foundations. Some are over 100 meters long, and they're built from multi-ton blocks of basalt and rock fitted with incredibly tight joints. They are precisely leveled, and, get this, excavations have revealed they even contain sophisticated drainage systems underground.
And how about this for a challenge? Building a precise, complex city, not on solid ground, but on a tidal lagoon. Well, that's exactly what they did in Lelu, in Micronesia. Here, they built an entire city of royal tombs and compounds, with walls rising straight out of the water. And the layout features straight streets and perfect right-angled compounds, a level of geometric precision that's almost unheard of in Pacific Island architecture, especially in such a ridiculously difficult environment.
So this all brings us right back to that core question. You've got tight joints in Egypt, perfect curves in Zimbabwe, right angles in a lagoon in Micronesia. How did they achieve this? How did they maintain such stunning precision over massive distances and in really challenging landscapes, all without the surveying equipment and architectural blueprints we consider absolutely essential today?
So, what we have here are these two parallel mysteries, impossible mass and impossible precision, and they are tied together by one common, incredibly frustrating thread: the complete and total absence of the plans, the tools, and the knowledge that simply must have existed.
And that right there, that's the heart of the mystery. At site after site, across different continents and separated by millennia, the same things are missing. There are no blueprints, no cranes or complex machines, no iron or steel tools that would be capable of shaping hard stone like granite and basalt with such ease. And maybe most importantly, there are no written records, no manuals explaining how any of this was done. It's like the engineers just cleaned up perfectly after themselves, leaving only the finished product behind.
So maybe we should stop thinking of them as just ruins. They aren't monuments to the failures of the past. They are enduring, profound successes. Each wall, each temple, each tower is a silent, standing testament to a level of practical engineering knowledge that, in a lot of ways, we haven't rediscovered. We've simply lost it. Which really leaves us with this one final thought. What if the mystery isn't really in the stones themselves, but it's actually in us, in our own assumptions about the past? Perhaps the greatest puzzle of all is simply our own massive underestimation of what ancient human minds with a completely different set of tools and a different way of thinking were truly capable of achieving.